back with part 2 of the defining and discovering your niche when it comes to podcasting. We're going to talk about some examples of well-defined niches, as well as some more tips and tricks to help you find that specific thing that you want to talk about. So let's jump into some examples of well-defined niches when it comes to podcasts. One example that I have is the Locked On podcast, which I tend to enjoy. If you're a sports fan, you can listen to the Locked On podcast, and they have a general sports topic, a general sports podcast that will talk about all the things that are happening in the sports world. It'll cover all the day-to-day events. And then they also have niched down to teams. So you can find your favorite team and you can listen to it. You can listen to the news specific to your team. So they're giving you a general topic, and then they have branched out and they have hosts that are very knowledgeable. And a lot of times they work with those teams to stay up to date on all of the happenings with those teams. So very good podcast, very niched down, very specific, and they're targeting specific fan bases as their audience, which is a great strategy. Let's talk about defining your niche. Once you have a niche in mind, it's time to define it clearly. Create a mission statement for your podcast, and this should include 3 different things. So it should include your topic. What is the main focus of your podcast? Right? What are you going to be talking about on a general level? Number 2 would be your audience. Who are you speaking to? So as an example, if we go back to the Locked On podcast, the Locked On Celtics, they just won the championship. Locked On Celtics is talking specifically to Boston Celtics fans. Number 3 is your unique angle. What makes your podcast different from others in that same niche? What makes you stand out? What makes you different? And sometimes you may not know that one at the beginning, but as you produce content, you can discover it quite easily. The last thing I want to talk about is staying true to your niche. One of the biggest things is consistency. Consistency is the key to staying true and following that path of this is where I want my podcast to go. So make sure every episode aligns with that podcast focus and delivers the value to your audience. It's okay to evolve and refine your niche over time, but always keep your listeners in mind and ensure that your content can stay relevant to their interests and needs. All right, let's do a quick recap. Just remember that identifying and defining your podcast niche is a critical step in building a successful show. Remember that by focusing on your passions, leveraging your strengths, and understanding your audience, analyzing the competition, refining your ideas, you can carve out a space where your podcast can thrive and stand out among the rest. Thank you for joining me today on Grow Your Damn Podcast. If you found this episode helpful, please subscribe, leave a review, share it with fellow aspiring podcasters, and stay tuned for our next episode where we will dive into more in the art of creating engaging podcast content. Till next time, happy podcasting.